There were so many inspirational trailblazing athletes of Asian descent that came before me that I could have looked up to had I known their stories. There's something like this that needed to be started.
Shout out AMAZN HQ.
AMAZN HQ.
AMAZN HQ.
AMAZN HQ, baby.
My name is Pranav Iyer. I'm the founder and CEO of AMAZN HQ, which is North America's leading Asian sports and community gathering platform. I grew up in a predominantly Asian American community. Basically, half the population was South Asian, half the population was East Asian in Cupertino, California. Being raised by a single mother, I fell in love with the sport of football, and that was at the age of 8. It came through a book report I had to do, looking through the library, and ended up stumbling upon a book about Brett Favre. The recess after that book report was the first time I really actually played football. I fell in love with football from that day, and my dream in life is to play in the NFL. My senior year, got offers from a few other schools, but I was still deciding which college I wanted to go to. I ended up committing to Chapman University. I still hadn't run this through my mom yet. And it was only like when my mom was talking to one of my professors at my journalism school about like which classes should I take, that my professor had told her like, oh, he can't like take the class at this time because he has football practice. My mom like immediately hung up the phone. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? You're playing football at this university? There was no other way other than to like go that route to get like what I thought was best for me. I was the only Indian American on the football team at Chapman. For me, it became an opportunity to like educate a lot of my teammates. You know, when I was on my recruiting visits, I was called like, hey, Slumdog Millionaire. At that time, I never thought anything of that. I was like, I hadn't even watched the movie. Like, at that time, I was like, didn't really know what they were saying. But now it was like, okay, like they probably know like one or two things about Indian culture. They might not even think it's like racially motivated, but that is like a result of like, you know, our society and our culture not being represented, right? So I think really it was at Chapman through my football experience and a couple other experiences that like I really came into like my identity as a Asian American, as an Indian American, because that was the first time I was really in an environment where I was extremely different. I was pursuing these two majors, journalism and kinesiology. I wanted to end up in sports somehow. I eventually realized like journalism was that route I wanted to pursue because I saw the ability to be a storyteller. And this was something I was passionate about since I was in high school, and I was a part of like the student publication, and I wrote this column about one of my biggest inspirations, who's this Indian American former college basketball player named Varun Ram. He was this 5'9", walk-on at the University of Maryland, and ended up becoming like a star of March Madness. In 2019, I had written 2 long-form articles, one about like the growth of Asian American football in the Bay Area, and another one about the rise of Asian American basketball and the lasting impact of Linsanity. I got to interview like dozens of people, and all of them, no matter how high of a profile they were, they all said like, wow, like I wish people had asked me these questions. That flipped a switch in my brain of like, who are the ones who are controlling like what stories are being told, and how often are those people that come from our community? There were so many inspirational trailblazing athletes of Asian descent that came before me that I could have looked up to had I known their stories. And 2, there were so many athletes my own age who were doing the same things as I was in different areas of this country that were Asian, that if I had known who they were, I could have felt so much less isolation in my journey. I was like, there's something like this that needed to be started. I had no idea like how to do any of it. But my initial investment to this was buying a camera, and then I started showing up at people's games, told them, I'm about to start this, media outlet called AMAZN HQ, or a platform for Asian American athletes. I had no idea like, how do I do this? How do I build a social platform? Like, what am I supposed to post? The beginning was just like fun. Like, I had no pressure. At that time, it was like simply like a passion project. I was thinking like, obviously this would be like amazing if I can do this like full time. But COVID happened like a few months after I started this. So that was another huge thing of like, what do we do now? I ended up going to grad school. I wasn't even thinking about school, to be honest. I was like, I'm just gonna think about AMAZN. How can I plan to bring this to the next level? I ended up taking a full-time job after grad school. And for me, that was like a huge thing that helped me a lot, because I ended up working for the social media team at ESPN, and a lot of the skills that I learned through that job directly applied to what I was building. Some of the biggest events that we've been able to put together for the past 3 years has been our AMAZN All-Star Showcases, and that is our version of the McDonald's All-American game, but it is a gathering of the greatest Asian high school basketball players from across the US and Canada. We have brought the best in the West to LA and the best in the East to Toronto. That was an event that was like a brainchild of myself, Rich Hahn, and one of Rich's former partners, Kevin Son. So that has been like the single most gratifying thing in my entire journey through AMAZN HQ. I get such incredible messages about like, wow, this like hearing this story or like whatever inspired me so much. But the lives of like older generations tell them it's been like 30 years and I'm waiting for something like this. Never made it to the NFL, Well, we got to partner with the NFL. We were like have a formal partnership with the NFL, the NBA, Team USA. And I think what's incredible is like all of those partnerships were created because Asian people of power in these organizations reached out to us. 3 athletes that in particular have been incredible to work with. One obviously like goes back to who is my biggest inspiration in my life, and that's Varun Ram. And it's awesome to see that now he's a vocal supporter of what we're doing. Another one is Jeremy Lin. His story resonates with so many people. Him showing vocally and very truthfully the support that he has for something that we're building. And Cam Bynum is Filipino American safety for the Minnesota Vikings. We did a 3-part series after a game. He was wearing cleats that had the Filipino flag on it. That was an experience that really blew up his platform in the Philippines. And the result, he's had the opportunity to throw multiple football camps in Manila or across the Philippines because people now know about his story. What we pride ourselves on is our original content storytelling, and especially we're doing storytelling on grassroots athletes, whether that's at the high school or college level, and we're doing that by being on the ground, being the ones at these guys' games, interviewing these people when oftentimes no one else will give them that opportunity, or they're not telling the other side of their story, right? It's not just about the numbers, but it's also about wow, they're doing something historic for their community. My hope for AMAZN HQ is I want to, one is to shock society, shock our community until the point that we no longer need to be shocked, to prove what is possible as Asian athletes, what it means to be an Asian athlete, and the opportunities that exist, for our community. From my mom's perspective, I really realized that she saw the value in what we're doing and also saw the effort. I sent her some of the messages I received from some of the athletes from our showcase or some of the parents, and I think through that she's seeing more and more this is impacting people greater than obviously just myself. So I'm really grateful for that. I'm very grateful that she even gave me the opportunity to pursue these things. I want to create tangible change for our community. It's not just about platforming the cases of success, it's tackling the challenges of why is there so little success in the first place. And as a result of that, that's why I started AMAZN HQ, is to show to sports fans, non-sports fans, what is possible for them in life.